Hi everyone, and a huge welcome, Fáilte Ribh Galéir, to the online launch of Channel Issue 11. I'm Emily Issel-Duggan, the 2024 publishing intern here at Channel, and I'm very excited to celebrate the publication of our beautiful 11th issue with you all. First things first, I have a few people to thank. Literary journals are a collective project, and luckily we have amazing, generous people all around us in the Channel community. I want to thank all of our wonderful contributors. I also want to thank Manal Mohammed, who is our cover artist. A massive thanks also to the Arts Council, as well as our patrons and subscribers for their vital financial support. We have a great evening lined up for you with readings from our contributors, along with photos showcasing the places that inspire them. We'll also be showing some samples of Manal Mohammed's beautiful artwork. For your convenience, there are timestamps in the description box below, and closed captions are available for this video. I also just want to say an enormous thank you to Cassia and Aisling, as well as all of the Channel community, for having me this year. It's been a total pleasure to work with you all, and I'm looking forward to seeing and reading you for many more issues to come. I'm going to pass it over to Cassia now. I hope you enjoy the evening, and slán go full.
Thank you, Emily, and a big thank you from me as well to everyone who's tuning in tonight. This issue is a special one for us, not just because the work in it is absolutely beautiful, but because with its publication we're saying goodbye to two wonderful members of Channel's team. Emily is finishing her time with us as our 2024 publishing intern, and I can't wait to see the work she'll do next in food and food art and hospitality. And our first ever Irish language editor, Aisling Ní is also moving on after 2 years growing our work in Irish. I'm so grateful to Aisling for the work she's done to take Channel from a journal publishing exclusively in English to one that could finally begin exploring the rich veins of connection between language and landscape in this country. And you can continue to follow Aisling's work in publishing as one half of the team behind Downshire Press, publishers of a beautiful multilingual journal grounded in Irish seasonality. They're very much fellow travellers with Channel in values and vision, and I can't recommend the work they do highly enough. You'll find a link to their website in the description box under here. So thank you, Aisling, thank you, Emily, and thank you all very, very much for helping us celebrate the work we've done together. Now, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to our cover artist, Manal Mohammed. The issue 11 cover features two pieces from Manal's series, The Palestinian Ghazal. And in a moment, we're going to show you some related work that she's kindly made available for tonight's launch. Manal is a Palestinian artist based between Haifa and Dublin, with a diverse practice exploring the intersections of colonialism, identity, and the altered landscapes of Palestine. So thank you so much, Manal, for sharing your work with us. And over to you.
Hi, this is Hannah Linden in Devon, UK. Wonderful to be connected with all of you across the world because of the wonderful channel. Thank you for including me, Aisling, Cassia, Emily, everyone on the team. Yeah, I've got 2 poems that I'm going to read from the issue. The first one is called Mist, M-I-S-T, and it's about my relationship with my father, who I lost when I was 12, sadly. And it's how he looked at the moors. He was very fond of being up on the moors above Saddleworth in Oldham. And I still have a lifelong love of the moors, which I didn't fully appreciate at the time, but I do know that I'm near Dartmoor. Mist. I remember the first time I saw the moor through his eyes. I had been crying at the wisps which kept moving along over the grass as he said, "Ah, will you look at that?" and sighed in that way of letting go of everything, lifted his face into the drizzle and let the rain run down his collar for the thrill. A sheep wandered by and he dropped to his knees, took my hand to show me how to pet her in that slow, patient way of his, not allowing me to pull away from the grease of it. He knew I was too cold to enjoy this, too afraid of everything, too ready to apologise. He wanted me to be bold, at least then, when he could still bear it, before there'd be no more time to explain why you should be who you had to be, before the mist gets inside you and blurs the edges. And the second poem I'm going to read is called Dear Kafka, obviously inspired by Kafka's and his story Metamorphosis. Very struck by how it's still horribly relevant. The story of people being turned into insects, being perceived as vermin, is horrifyingly still relevant. Dear Kafka, we are saddened to be associated forever with your name. We know you didn't specify, but you should have known what people are with their addiction to pins and down. Sir, we are not dirty or depressed even, and we, of course, think we are beautiful. After my daughter read your book, sir, she cried, "Think what happened in Europe afterwards, Papa." I tell her we cannot hold you responsible for that. But it's hard to reassure the young, who sometimes don't understand their elders' intentions. But it's happening again, Papa. Look at the election results. Look at the rise of the right. They will push more people into their bedrooms and they'll never get out again, Papa. Even the young have to harden themselves. So many of us, Kafka. So many of us in the cracks and dark places under the couch. And the clerks don't come to check on us in person anymore. Even the scraps they throw us are getting scarce. Thank you, everyone.
Power. We woke up and it was raining bones. I should say it was hailing bones. We screamed as they hurtled toward us. I won't say we hadn't seen it coming, but you can only be so prepared for a femur to pierce the gazebo roof. What might have been a kneecap took out a child's eye. I want to say we don't know whose bones they were or where they came from, but that isn't true either. By mutual agreement, we didn't discuss how we'd stripped flesh or how we boiled it to tallow, how we lit and were still lighting our streets with its renderings, our homes. By that light, we could see what was happening. We watched an ulna fall so fast it punctured our uncle's lung. We hunkered in porcelain bathtubs while rib after tibia splintered windows. We screamed. We shuddered. We imagined imprints of phalanges where wind had hurtled them, against plaster siding and packed dirt. We waited for silence. We knew there were only so many bones in a body. We knew the barrage would stop long enough for us to build a dome, something bulbous that no scapula could perforate again. We'd need fuel to power it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jo Bear. I use she, they pronouns, and I am so excited to be joining you all for the virtual launch of Channel. I wish that I could be there in person with you all in Dublin, but I'm so grateful that this virtual launch is being made possible. I want to thank the editors for their generosity and care in putting the issue together and in putting these launches together. And I also want to send my appreciation and my excitement to the other contributors. I'm so eager to read your tremendous work and so honored to be in your company. I have 2 poems that are going to be appearing in this issue, and I'm going to be reading one of them for this launch. I'm going to be reading Gentrification, Ghazal. Gentrification, Ghazal. By the bridge, the crane chooses to peck apart the city. Its stilted knees feign interest in the shape of the city. For a week, I live on a friend's floor and gnaw gratitude down to gristle. Down each lane is an empty house because of the city. I shop above where Vikings clutched antlered creatures close to the manes of their chests before there was a city. You kiss me in the kitchen of every ruined apartment I flee, and your tongue has the grain of a closed door in the city. I learn the country's sweat. I learn when the bombs made a rush hour carrion stain, what the rain hides. I cannot call it mine, this city. In their hunger, gulls pluck crumbs from the sky, and children tell their parents in vain that stars are being disappeared in the city. We go to the sea, and I am promised to another country. In the wind, your hair is a swirling vein, and this too is the sheer cliffs of the city. Begin again. Remind me of the euphony of the streets after school, the children and the joints they sprained in haste to join the city. A country is the grinding of molars, is a waning moon. The bank asks where I can claim my mail. I tell them the name of the city. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Channel Magazine for accepting this poem, Lie Flat. I'm recording today in Portstewart, County Derry, Northern Ireland. Lie flat. Where branches were cut, dark nodes give scar history to a wooden floor. I lie down, outline them with my fingertip. The whirl of skin learning the whirl of knots, the open and closed rings that sound stories of living and its wounds.
the places that we carry where forgiveness jammed like a crystal holed up in a muscle that circling touch works free. I think of the Chinese word for opting out, tang ping, which means lie flat, refuse to be rolled up in the tight race to the top. The young are reversing the dream, going to where trees grow, to breathe leaf breath. This cheered me today, like the news from the north that enemies will sit together, share their words for woods, their plans for planting. And the new recruit in prison for saying no to killing who was spat on and on release will refuse again and be jailed again. The olive branch is snapped, but the trunk records where it once grew, and birds still loop, looking for their nest. Thank you.
Banyan, epigraph from the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna said, "The banyan tree with roots above and branches below is imperishable. The Vedic scriptures are the leaves of that tree." Banyan. It sang for 150 years beneath the cruel sun, a Vedic hymn vaulted from wandering roots into a cathedral of shadows. From its vantage above the village, witnessed the burning of paradise, itself kindling into the night, spirits fled with smoke. By morning, a decimation, a wailing of unfathomable loss, airships stranded, no escape but into the sea. Stationary, bereft of leaves, it towers above the ruins like an abandoned temple, where the blue god rests in an arch, beckons migrant spirits return to smoldering trunks, a locust like the bird of yore.
Hello everybody, my name is Diarmuid Cawley. I'm going to be reading two poems for the launch of issue 11 of Channel. I'd just like to give a big thank you to the editors, Aisling, Cassia and Emily, for including me in this beautiful publication. I also had some poems in issue 9, which was wonderful, so again I'm really pleased to be here and to be part of this greater community. So I'm going to read two poems. The first one is called Adults, and the second one is called Washed. Adults. On rare hot days as children we'd discover worlds, and everything new, wondrous and terrifying stretched without time. In full growth, the day with all its light resisting, marching against oppression, building dams on streams, creating new flow, signing pacts in blood, forming our language in secret. Now and then we'd learn about death, a stationary animal, its bones drying in the sun, fascinating maggots feasting, the matted fur rippling when poked with a stick. Decay became soil upon which we built statehood, keeping the crowd from the other street out. When their backs were turned, we'd raid and ransack their huts, smashing down doors, burning magazines, penknifing footballs, we the lords and them only flies. They'd retaliate when their time came. Our lives reflected in the smashed glass of abandoned factories, crumbling regimes camouflaged in suburbia, where ambition knew no bounds, until unseen voices ran us off, covered in scratches, tattooed in mud, holding stitched sides. Washed. We washed a bag of apricots at a roadside tap, Swollen hands refreshed of grime, you fed them to me as we drove all day into the dark from Fez to Marrakesh, my arm red from August, two open windows drawing hot winds over us, every pore dust-filled and dry. How tenderly you tore the fruit, removing each stone, halves of ripe yellow flesh by the edge of the desert where we did not feel welcome. In a carpeted room with low lights and wood, after we had showered, after we had eaten, after we had searched dim, narrow streets, we got to know each other better.
My poem is The Understory in Autumn by Erin Wilson. The creature that moves through the woods towards you with a brass candle snuffer, putting tree after tree after tree out, is Death's sister. Death's best friend is a bent bow strung with grief gut, playing a charred fiddle. Death's dog is deaf, blind, dumb, and toothless, but is adept at retrieving thrown bones. 4 legs, yes, and comes when it's cold. Its fur is grizzled tar, but otherwise it looks like a paroxysmal maggot. Death's aunt lives in the attic of your mind, ceaselessly knitting a gray sweater with the world gray yarn whose source is the fastidious uncoiling of your mind. When she is done, where will you be? A flake of embryo floats in amniotic fluid, awaiting its clothing. Just after pushing death out, Death's mother bore down once more to force a second child, a stillborn. It still hangs swinging like 100-pound raisin from her wizened right breast. Death's grandparents are authors who tirelessly unwrite every word ever written by holding a mirror to the image of their straw hands moving through air. Death is the blackest stone that does not exist. Thank you.
Hello, my name is James Owens. I live in Spanish Ontario, and I would like to thank Cassia, Ashling, and Emily for including my work in this issue of Channel. I'm going to read a poem called 1 Year After a Summer of Fires. Sleepers dream of cool hands, soothing fever. At dawn, rain washes light down to the dim street, where no one walks yet, and over houses and yards, and brushes it onto the leaves of the lilacs by the fence, which gleam now as if renewing their naive project of life, while the first wandering tendrils of rainwater swell the dry roots of sunflowers to sleekness. How many stories begin at daybreak, the rain, yet this is the story we have, and the person at the open window, wakened by soft thunder and watching the still empty street gather its brightening, shapeless puddles, must tell it. Outside the spared town, mist curls up where rain sighs in the grass. On blackened earth, tender weeds and brambles have knitted over ash. Woven nests wake among the saplings, and sheltered birds rouse to pip and rustle. Seeds from cones that burst in heat are sprouting, as happens after a burn. Always, so far.
Thanks so much for listening, and thank you again to all our contributors for trusting us with the wonderful work you've just heard. If you'd like to read more of issue 11, you can buy it on our website at the link in the description box, or from any of our statists around Ireland. And if you're based near Dublin, do consider joining us as well for our in-person launch tomorrow in Chapters. We'd love to see you there. For any writers in the audience, submissions are open for issue 12 from now until the new year. We'd welcome the chance to read your work, and you'll find submission guidelines on our website as well. For everyone else, wishing you a safe, happy winter with all the good books and warm fellow creatures and other comforts you can find. And we'll see you again in the spring.